I kind of just woke up one morning and I felt a bit off. Through my neck was really sore, and it's not like when you get a cold and it just felt like sore glands. It was all the way around. I felt under the weather, a bit headachy, that sort of thing. First call I did was to my auntie Marg, because she's a nurse practitioner, and she told me to ring the healthline. They advised that we went and saw the urgent doctor. I was seen by one of the doctors very briefly. They just took some basic observations. But anyway, they sent me home, told me I had a cold. I was living by myself at that time, so Mum decided to stay with me that night, and then I kind of just deteriorated from there. I became quite disoriented. I was up vomiting a lot during the night, and then I started to get feverish. That's when I called out to Mum. Mum was driving, and I was just trying to tell her to hurry, because I just felt like something was not right. So I was getting quite scared by that point, and then I have no memory. I did start to go into multi-organ failure at that point, and DIC. They started to suspect it might have been meningitis, so they chucked me on the helicopter and I got to Dunedin about early to mid-afternoon, but they ended up putting me into an induced coma that night, where it was touch and go whether I'd survive. So I ended up being in an induced coma for 9 days. My kidneys, liver and lungs pretty much all shut down, and my heart was not great. I lost my spleen due to a blood clot, and then I got septicemia too with the meningitis. So after waking up, I was quite terrified and scared, and very weak was the other thing. Like, I couldn't lift my arms off the bed, couldn't lift my head off the bed. And that was like that for a few weeks. So after the first 3 weeks, I went to the renal ward because that was what was most pressing. My kidneys, they were still not working. So I was on getting dialysis at least every second day, and then had the first surgery. So that was the toe amputations, and they did skin grafts. So they took the grafts from my thighs and then put them on my ankles where they had cut away a lot of the dead tissue. The grafts didn't take over my Achilles because they had to debride so far down that you could actually see a good 2 inches of each Achilles. And then on Christmas Eve, I had to go into hospital to see the orthopaedic surgeon just to get an opinion on my right ankle. And he told me I had to have surgery that day or I'd end up losing it. It was severely infected. So it was probably maybe 6 months at home, recuperating, trying to gain weight, trying to get more mobile. With the fentanyl, it helped relieve the pain for maybe a day, but I had changed the patch every 3 days. And so 2 out of those 3 days I could hardly walk because it was so painful. And it got to the point where I was like, well, this foot's not functional. I'm not gonna be able to do anything on it. And ended up amputating in June of 2021. So it's been 3 years now. It was a good decision. Even though, I mean, obviously there's still ups and downs with it and issues and things, but it's way better than the foot I was left with. The following year, my kidneys started going downhill. The doctors said it would happen, they just didn't know the time frame of it. So I was on dialysis for 11 months. My mum and my older brother both got the workup to see if they could donate. Because of their blood type, they couldn't directly donate to me. So that's when we went in the exchange program. Nathan ended up being the chosen one. It just so happened that they could find a match for him within the chain. So yeah, I got my kidney late last year. It's been pretty good since. We hadn't had any vaccinations, not even as babies, because they weren't in the handbook at that point. We did have the B vaccine that went around the primary schools, but I ended up getting the W strain, and we were only vaccinated for the B. And I mean, it would have been out of my system by the time I was 23 as well. So yeah, definitely could have been a different story if I had been vaccinated. So I think obviously that is the main message, is get vaccinated, but also to know the signs and symptoms. When I rang the health line at the start, every second question was, do you have a rash? And I didn't, and the rash didn't show up until I was in ICU in Dunedin. So that was over 2 days after my initial symptoms. Life is very different to what it was before. I mean, I don't even think I can remember what it was like before I got sick.